Hi, hello, Namaste. This is Dr. Kasigari Prasad, Associate Professor, Graphologist, Writer and Motivational Speaker. Let us see one configuration. We are here to calculate the capacitance of parallel plate capacitor, spherical and cylindrical capacitors. So let us see, first we define for parallel plate capacitor. So this is the diagram. This is the diagram of a parallel plate capacitor. See, two plates are there, plate 1 and plate 2, which both of these two are separated by a distance d. So this is the distance between these two, and which are filled with the dielectric material. Epsilon is the dielectric, and these two plates are having a plate area of S. S is the surface area. S is the surface area of this one, and plate 1 is carrying positive charge, plate 2 is carrying negative charge. On x-axis we have placed these two. Okay, this is the diagram. So consider a parallel plate capacitor as shown in the figure here. Now with reference to this consideration, this parallel plate capacitor, we are here to calculate the capacitance. Suppose what is the separation D and surface area is S, we have already discussed. Plate 1 and plate 2 respectively are carrying charge Q, positive charge and negative charge, uniformly distributed on them. So what is the charge density? Rho S. Rho S is equal to total charge Q over a surface. So total charge Q divided by S is the surface charge distribution. Okay, rho S is equal to Q by S. So once you calculated that one, from this we go for a conclusion. What is the conclusion? An ideal parallel plate capacitor is the one in which plate separation D is very small compared with the dimensions of the plates. That means the parallel plate size is very big and the separation between these two parallel plates are very small. So an ideal parallel plate capacitor is the one in which the plate separation D is very small compared with the dimensions of the plate. Now let us assume in such an ideal case, the fringing field at the edges of the plates. That means the currents will move at the edges, and the electric field which are producing, the field which is producing at the edges will tend to move towards the other one, as shown here at the edges. This is the fringing field that is moving from one plate to the another plate. It can be ignored so that the field between them is considered as uniform. As we consider that uniform field is existing between plate 1 and plate 2, therefore the fringing field can be neglected, as we neglect here the fringing field. Let us see, in a parallel plate capacitor, the electric field existing between the two plates having equal and opposite charges is given as. Right from the first chapter we have studied from Gauss law and Coulomb's law concept, the electric field between two parallel plate capacitors having equal in magnitude and opposite charges, and it is given as E is equal to rho S by 2 epsilon naught into AN plus minus rho S by 2 epsilon naught into minus AN, and finally E is equal to rho S by epsilon naught into AN. If the space between these two is considered with some dielectric material, having a dielectric material with permittivity epsilon, and we can ignore the fringing field here at the edges, then the dielectric flux, that means the electric flux D is equal to rho S into AX. Rho S into AX. Where D is electric flux density D, rho S is the surface charge density, AX is the unit vector in x direction. So now we can write electric field equation E is equal to rho S by epsilon in minus AX. Therefore where rho S is equal to, it is total charge per surface. Okay, so minus Q by epsilon S into AX. Hence we are having two parallel plates, the potential across them is V, and that V is equal to minus integral 2 to 1 E dot dl, that is equal to minus integral, what is the separation between two plates? D is the separation. Therefore minus integral 0 to D minus Q divided by epsilon S into AX into dx AX. Therefore minus minus positive, it becomes plus. Therefore we have written it as Q D divided by epsilon S, and this is for a parallel plate capacitor. As we calculated V and we assumed Q, therefore C is equal to Q by V, and that is epsilon S divided by D. Epsilon S divided by D. So we have calculated capacitance, and this is the formula offers a means of measuring the dielectric constant of a given dielectric. So by measuring the capacitance C of a parallel plate capacitor with the separation between the plates filled with the dielectric and capacitance C0 with air between the plates, then we can determine epsilon r. So epsilon r can be estimated as epsilon r is equal to C divided by C0. From our previous concepts, we know that energy stored in the capacitor is given by We is equal to 1 over 2 integral d dot E into dV, that is 1 over 2 integral d means epsilon E and E square dV. So we have calculated capacitance, then we have calculated relative permittivity epsilon r, then we have calculated what is the energy stored in the capacitor. Okay. So from the above concept, the energy stored can be rewritten as We is equal to 1 over 2 CV square, that is 1 over 2 Q into V, therefore that is Q square by 2C. To verify this for a parallel plate capacitor, we substitute equation into E is equal to rho s by epsilon into minus Ax, that is minus Q by epsilon s into Ax. Then we get We is equal to 1 over 2 d dot E dV, that is 1 over 2 integral epsilon naught E square dV. Then we get We is equal to 1 over 2 integral V epsilon Q square by epsilon square S square dV, that is epsilon Q square S d divided by 2 epsilon square S square, and finally we will get 1 over 2 Q into V by integrating that one. Okay, that is about parallel plate capacitor. Then the capacitance of a coaxial capacitor can be estimated as, let us consider a coaxial cable or coaxial cylinder capacitor as shown in the figure, which has inner conductor and outer conductor. We have two conductors, conductor 1 and conductor 2. The conductor's radius is, the inner conductor radius is small a and outer conductor radius is small b. Okay, and the space between conductor 1 and conductor 2 is filled with some dielectric epsilon, and let us consider the length of this conductor is capital L as shown in the figure, and the outer conductor radius b is greater than inner conductor radius small a, and the space is filled with homogeneous dielectric with permittivity. Okay, let us consider that there are two conductors, conductor 1, conductor 2. Conductor 1 is carrying positive charge Q plus Q and conductor 2 is carrying negative charge minus Q. Now by applying Gauss law to that Gaussian cylindrical surface of radius A to B, let us assume some radius, that is rho, lying between A and B. So we can obtain charge Q is equal to epsilon closed integral E dot ds, that is epsilon E rho 2 pi rho L. Since it is a cylinder, the surface integral and the area we can write it as 2 pi rho L. Therefore E is equal to Q divided by 2 pi epsilon rho L into A rho is our equation. So we found electric field here. Once we found that one, neglecting here the flux fringing at the cylinder, and we can calculate potential V. Potential V is calculated as V is equal to minus integral 2 to 1 E dot dl, that is minus integral, what is the radius from first conductor to second conductor? It is B to A, Q divided by 2 pi epsilon rho L into A rho direction into D rho A rho. Therefore Q divided by 2 pi epsilon L logarithmic of B by A. Thus the capacitance of a coaxial cylinder is given as C is equal to Q by V, and it is equal to 2 pi epsilon L divided by logarithmic of B by A. Okay, that is about coaxial. Then spherical capacitor. Consider one sphere having two concentric spherical conductors, conductor 1 and conductor 2. Similarly, conductor 1 is carrying positive charge, conductor 2 is carrying negative charge. The space between conductor 1 and 2 is filled with some dielectric epsilon. The radius of B is greater than A, as shown in the figure. Now similarly assume conductor 1 is carrying positive charge Q and inner conductor is carrying positive charge Q and outer conductor is carrying negative charge minus Q. Now applying Gauss law to this Gaussian surface where the radius is ranging between A to B, that means in between A and B. Similar equation, Q is equal to epsilon closed integral E dot ds, that is epsilon ER 4 pi r squared. Since it is a sphere, its area here it is 4 pi r square. Therefore the electric field E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon r square into AR direction. Hence the potential difference between the conductors V is equal to minus integral 2 to 1 E dot dl, and the radius is from minus integral B to A, and electric field here we got is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon r square into AR dr AR, and that integration leads to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon 1 over A minus 1 over B. Thus the capacitance of a spherical conductor is C is equal to Q by V, and it is 4 pi epsilon divided by 1 over A minus 1 over B. Now let us consider that B is tending to infinity, B tends to infinity. Capacitance value C is equal to 4 pi epsilon A, which is the capacitance of a spherical capacitor whose outer plate is infinitely large. Such is the case of a spherical conductor at large distances from other conducting bodies, since they are isolated sphere. Okay. Now from the concepts of network theory, let us recall that if two capacitors with capacitance C1 and C2 are in series as shown in the figure A, then the total capacitance 1 over C is equal to 1 over C1 plus 1 over C2. Therefore C is equal to C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2 for this figure A diagram. Similarly, the total capacitance here is C is equal to C1 plus C2. Once we know this one, then let us reconsider the expressions for finding the resistance R and capacitance C. So, and those expressions are given as for R is equal to V by I, C is equal to Q by V, and the same expressions can be reproduced here. Okay. Similarly, the product of R and C, resistance and capacitance RC, is equal to epsilon by sigma, and this is called relaxation time tau r of the medium separating the conductors. It should be noticed that the above equation is valid only when the medium is homogeneous. Assuming homogeneous media, the resistance of various capacitors mentioned earlier can be readily obtained with the equation RC is equal to epsilon by sigma. Okay. Now let us summarize all the resistance and capacitances for all the three categories. For parallel plate capacitor, C is equal to epsilon s by d, R is equal to d by sigma s, and for cylindrical capacitor, C is equal to 2 pi epsilon L divided by logarithmic of B by A, R is equal to logarithmic of B by A by 2 pi sigma L. For spherical capacitor, C is equal to 4 pi epsilon divided by 1 over A minus 1 over B, and R is equal to 1 over A minus 1 over B whole divided by 4 pi sigma. And finally, for an isolated spherical conductor, C is equal to 4 pi epsilon A, R is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi sigma A. Likewise, we can write equations for all the three different categories. Okay. Thank you very much for listening to these lectures, and I request everyone to kindly subscribe our educational channel Kasigari Prasad, where from this channel I am going to deliver engineering classes, particularly for electronics and communication engineering, and motivational talks, personality development talks, graphology, good handwriting skills talks, likewise career development classes, which are very essential for all the students who are learners, who can contribute themselves for the betterment of society. Thank you very much. Kindly subscribe, kindly like this video so that it gives some motivation in order to do good talks and good lectures for our inspiring students. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.